Hi, I'm Melissa Cody. The fastest way to achieve success is to find someone who's already done an amazing job at what you want to do, and then have them explain to you exactly what they did to get there. We all rise by lifting others.
Hi, I'm Nikki Carter, and we are the founders and owners of Insporise, a platform where we can connect wildly successful people with aspiring successful people. And over the next 30 minutes, you are going to hear from someone who is truly inspiring. Hello, Nikki Carter here. I am the co-owner of Insporise, and we are here with an amazing guest. His name is Timmy. I found him on TikTok. He is an entrepreneur, author, super fun person who's doing something really special in the kid space. I'm going to let him tell his story. But first, we're going to jump in and say hello to Melissa, and then we will get right into it like usual.
Hi everyone, my name is Melissa. I'm the other co-owner of Insporise. Thank you so much, Nikki. I hope you both are having a wonderful day already. And so, Timmy, I see all kinds of children things behind you. I'm so excited since Nikki and I both have children. We're very excited to hear what you do. So take it away. Tell us your story.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm not even sure where to start, but I'm a kids book author. I run a company called Dinosaur House. Our whole thing is we turn industry leaders into kids book authors. So it was I wasn't sure if it would work, honestly, as a business. Let me back up a little bit. Okay, I started as a kids book author because when I was 17 years old, my little brother Tristan was 4, and I had just read him some Dr. Seuss books, and I was like, I wonder if I could do this. So I started writing books that were just designed to make him laugh, scare him, gross him out, or get some kind of a reaction out of him. And when I was working at Disney, fast forward that was 2007. Fast forward to 2014, I'm working at Disney, and I got a lot of encouragement from a lot of different people to just go out and try to get these books published. So I published my first book, Billy the Dragon, that year. Instead of going through a long publishing process with, agents and publishers and all that, I just went and ordered 750 copies of Billy the Dragon and started knocking on elementary school doors and being like, hey, I'm a kids book author. This is my book, Billy the Dragon. Can I come and read it for your kids? And about half the time I would get turned away. And then the other half of the time they would let me in, and I would entertain the kids, and there'd be, a sea of laughter and then Q&A time. And it was really validating. And I started getting that on video and taking a lot of pictures and videos to post and try to get some social proof and get some teachers talking about me so that I could get booked at other schools. And that's essentially how I grew as a traveling kids book author, which was super fulfilling. It doesn't work in a COVID environment because so many schools are locked down for visitors. So I had to figure out how I was going to make money as a kids book author after COVID hit. And the solution, which I didn't think was necessarily going to work. There's this guy who is a sales influencer named John Barrows. He wrote a book called I Want to Be in Sales When I Grow Up. And as far as I know, he's the only person. I think I've met one other person that I had on my podcast, who I was surprised to find out did this as well. But there's very few industry leaders that have gone, I'm going to make the kids book that every parent in my industry would want to read to their kids. And it was a huge, so he knew that he needed a book to be traveling and speaking. But instead of making just another book for adults on sales, he went completely different direction and made a kids book on sales. And sure enough, he's known in his space as the guy that wrote the kids book on sales. And that was a big light bulb moment for me, because when I researched how he did it and found out there was no company whose mission was to turn industry leaders into kids book authors, I was like, well, let's see if I can do this. And it started as just me and an outsourced design team, and has grown now to I have 23 customers and a team of 3 full-time illustrators and a writer. And so that's you ask me whatever you want to ask me after that.
Awesome.
I feel like I've trailed off in your question.
Yeah, so first of all, I ordered your Lucas, the Dinosaur Entrepreneur book for my daughter who's 5. So how it kind of started is I instantly saw you on TikTok and I was like, what? I want Tori to learn about walking dogs and making money doing it or whatever, right? And so I was like, okay, I've got to get in touch with Timmy, because the questions that come up for that is like, how did you get started? Like, how did you pick your space, which talked about getting into your little brother and then writing the books and illustrating. Was your background in sales or writing or finding illustrators, or like, where did you start your research? What did that beginning process really look like?
That's a great question.
Good.
So no background in sales. I've always known that I wanted to be I would call story artist the right term, because I didn't know exactly what form it would take. But I remember being 10 and thinking, when I grow up, I want to make cartoons for a living. Like, I want to get paid to make cartoons. And I didn't know if that would be like, I'd go work, like actually making like, Saturday morning cartoon style cartoons, or go work, at an animation company like Disney, or, or what that would look. Comic books, I was like, maybe I could do like Calvin and Hobbes style, like comic strips. But then when my little brother, like when I started reading to my little brother, that's when I kind of latched onto the idea of like, oh wow, I should try to do kids books. And I think the entrepreneurial part of it all just comes from feeling like I didn't want to put the success. It honestly probably comes from a place of lack of confidence. When I made Billy the Dragon, I was like, I don't want to have to deal with sending this out to agents and publishers and getting rejected by them and not even getting a shot because it just sucked too much to be publishable for them. And that's probably what would have happened if I was going to guess.
Wow.
Because I had to change the book a lot over the time that I was touring with it to like tighten it up and make it funnier and all of that kind of stuff. So like for me, I was like, if I can just sell the first batch of books, I'll learn everything that I need to learn about what makes kids books good by just doing that, by just buying a bunch of books, trying to sell them, trying to perform them, and finding out from the reactions of the kids what it is that they like and don't like, and applying that to the next book and the next book and the next book. So I think it was just the thinking of like my own insecurities around, I don't know that I'm necessarily good enough to be published as a kids book author, but I know that I have the stamina to like beat my head against this problem until I get it. That's the reason I decided to go that route. And I think also around the same time I had met my now best friend, James Carberry, who is an entrepreneur. He runs a company called Sweetfish Media, and he's just been a huge influence on my thinking. So that's where the entrepreneurial parts of it all came from. So by the time COVID hit, I was already making a full-time income off of book sales of Billy the Dragon and a couple of other books that I made. And that I've now found out is unheard of, that you would make enough money to live off of book sales. But the reason I was able to do that was because I was just grinding my face off touring. And so I had built up, I already had a spark of entrepreneurial thinking. And then I had just built up, trying to figure out how to get predictable sales of kids' books off of touring. There's so many parts of that. And
there's a lot of parts of that. I think the mindset part for me around like, I wasn't confident enough to reach out to a publishing company, but I was confident enough to go knock on the doors of a school. Like, I don't even know anyone that's ever sold to a school, but as someone who does like my background's in social media marketing, I have a ton of people reach out to me with their books and say like, how do I get my name out there? And I'm like, you need to talk to everyone and their mother, like stand on the street corner and be like, hey, do you like to read about whatever, or get into Facebook ads or whatever you're going to do. I don't think anyone has ever been like, you know what I'm going to go do? I'm going to go knock door to door on some, like, it's just, that is an awesome story to be like, I believe in this product so much. I'm going to order 750 copies of it. And then I'm going to tweak it and order another set, I'm sure, and then tweak it again and then go to a new school.
I feel like that's exactly how my brain works too. Like I wouldn't ever take I've had my my background's in web design. I've had my web design company for 15 years. And I just started it one day. Like I was just like, I don't know how to design a website. I don't know how to code. I don't know anything really. I just started it. Yeah. I never take the like natural path. I always take the like if the natural path is like go to school, learn how to build a website, whatever. Like I always think of like, what's a different way that I can do this? Because, this normal, regular path that everybody else takes just seems like, I don't know if it maybe a confidence thing too. Like, I think like if I went and learned how to build a website, I probably wouldn't be very good at it. So I'm just going to do my own thing and figure that out instead. So like, that's very interesting. I feel like entrepreneurs really just kind of make their own path and their mindset develops as they go because they build exactly like you said, they build up that confidence in doing it their own way instead of doing it the way that, is supposed to be done or whatever.
Yeah.
I read something recently. I read something recently that said an entrepreneur is defined as somebody who will try to fly a plane by themselves and then fix the plane like as it's crashing or something. Like, that sounds like that. It's not quite that dramatic in real life, but you're like, I'm going to learn it and then fix the problem as I go. And so when you said that, I was like, wow, that really reminds me of that because it's a repetitive pattern of the people that we're talking to. They're like, this is a sloppy pattern, but I just decided to do it anyways. And I'm going to try to figure it out and fix it. It's crazy that we feel more confident in ourselves doing it that way than maybe like a more traditional way of getting picked up by like a publishing company.
Yeah.
Okay, so fast forward. What's next?
Well, the book that you saw on TikTok is called Lucas the Dinosaur Entrepreneur. Yeah. And that was sort of me eating my own eating my own dog food, drinking my own champagne. I was like, okay, you make the kids book that people in your industry would want to read to their kids. Well, who am I reaching out to? For the most part, it's entrepreneurs. Most of the customers of Dinosaur House are founders of companies, and I'm saying to them, hey, make the kids book that everyone that you sell to, because it's that industry's kids book, they're going to want to read it to their kids. Well, so Lucas the Dinosaur Entrepreneur is that. It's the first book that Dinosaur House, Dinosaur House was in the process of being created when I made it. So I was just latching onto this idea of like, okay, if John Barrows is going to make the book on sales, I'm going to make the kids book on entrepreneurship. Because at the time, the only kids book that I could find for like that, the age that I'm targeting is the first half of elementary school. So for that age group, the only entrepreneurship books that I could find is a really good workbook by I have it here somewhere. It's called Kidpreneurs. It's called Kidpreneurs, and it's a workbook for entrepreneurs to like go through with their kids. And it's great. But it's a workbook. It's not fiction. It doesn't tell a story. And I read through it and I was like really inspired by it, but I was like, okay, I want to make a story. And it's not going to be a kid starting a lemonade stand, because that's every single person's, oh yeah, this is what I'll tell the story of a kid starting a lemonade stand. It's like, okay,
I sold rocks in my front yard. I went and I collected rocks. Yeah, in my front yard. And I thought like, these are so cool. Like people buy like diamonds and gold. And so like these have to be valuable. And I literally put a table at the bottom of the end of my driveway, like several little like TV trays. And I like put them there with like little stickies and like put dollar signs on the stickies. And I don't even know how
How old were you?
6.
You were 6, and you're selling rocks at the end of your driveway. Yep. And like, how long did you try to make that work, and how well did it work?
As far as I can remember, I did this every day. So I lived next door to my grandparents. So like at the end of my driveway was my grandparents' house. So my mom could see me out of the front, and it was a different time. It was like back in the 80s, or I guess early 90s. But my mom could see me and my grandparents can see me. And so there I am, just like carrying my TV trays as a 6-year-old, like down my driveway, setting them up with my little folding chair. My grandmother's like waving at me at the window, like, there you are again. Like, yeah. Cars were stopping and they were buying my rocks from my front yard from me.
How did you, so you literally just like stuck price tags on some rocks.
Yep. Your book would have been very helpful for me at that point in my life.
At least
Oh,
Timmy's like,
man.
oh, you should learn to walk some dogs.
That's so good. Oh, well, in the next book, Lucas is going to start. So the next book is called what is total addressable market? He's literally going to be figuring out, like, how many people in his neighborhood would make a customer.
I love it.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
powerful. Yep.
Yeah. So
Wow.
the idea behind it is that it's going to be a series where each book in the series is trying to tackle an aspect of entrepreneurship, like scaling or,
Amazing.
anything that you're like, yeah, this is part of it.
Yeah.
I'm a customer. My daughter's 5.
Ago.
I ordered your book this morning. I was like, I should have ordered his book before I did this interview, but I ordered it today. So I will leave a review after, let you know how it goes. Probably by the time I get done editing the video.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Well, please, since you're on TikTok, make a video that's just your reaction to the book. And
that's how I found you, is someone's
I'll stitch
reaction
it.
video. Yep. I love it. That sounds awesome. Okay. So Lucas is getting a series. What are you doing now in the time of COVID that you're not traveling to schools?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to figure out the question of how do you sell books digitally? And there's a whole bunch of answers to that question, but huge aha. It's like, okay, well, if you go viral on TikTok, which I can't take credit for, it's big props to Melissa Hughes. She's a mom influencer that made the video that I'm reacting to, and that post went viral. And her review of the book is like, oh my goodness, I couldn't have asked for a better ad to be made. Like, if I wanted to make a video that I would put ad dollars behind, I couldn't have asked for anything better than what she just recorded herself saying.
Yeah.
So then I just reacted to that, and that went viral on TikTok, and I think it's at like 90,000 views. So I say viral, more like mini viral. Went mini viral on TikTok, 90,000 views. And within the first week, I sold 400 books. Wow. And that's awesome. I mean, my goodness, I would have been out of like, it's a huge question. How do you sell books online? Like, if you don't already have an existing big audience, like if you've got an email list with a whole bunch of subscribers, you sell the books directly to that email list. That's just a right move that probably should be working on. But beyond that, what are the right answers to, like, how do you get books sold? I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm sure part of it is go viral on a platform.
Or micro influencers. I think people think, once Barnes and Noble picks me up, then my life is set. But don't sleep on the micro influencers. Those moms in the right spaces with 10 to 50,000 followers. No one crazy. You don't need someone with 1 million followers to pick you up to make it. But
no,
I think
trying to make money.
About it,
oh, sorry.
To add to that, the other thing about it was exactly what you said about her reaction being real. People can see the difference between this perfectly curated ad of now my child knows all about entrepreneurship and it's this perfect cookie cutter thing versus this video is the one that I saw you on. It was her video of being like, I can't believe that my daughter can use this. And she's reading it to her and it's like a quick snip of the book. And then it's like her excited. I think she's sitting in a car, if I remember right. It's very raw, very real. It's not edited. It's not like curated. It's very raw. That's what excites people because it's real and helpful and fun and useful in the space. So I think micro influencer is probably going to be a really good thing. And then 2 email lists, make sure that whatever you're doing, you're able to retarget people when you come out with these series, like don't sleep on collecting those 400 people that added or bought from you, right? Like make sure you're like, hey, my series is coming out. Don't be afraid to pre-sell. Don't be afraid to especially because in book sales, it's probably a lot like e-commerce, right? You're going to have an upfront cost, I would guess, in that space.
Well, so I'm a little bit different than the average person. So I could talk about how I've been able to make book sales like a way to pay the bills. That's not what I'm doing now. So I sell as a service book production, like kids book production. So when I talk to customers and I can say, hey, you know, this is my existing, like, essentially I'm saying, like, have Dinosaur House produce your kids book, and you'll already be tapping into this existing audience of people that love Dinosaur House books. That makes my service easier to sell. So to me, selling kids books is just like, the benefit is that it makes the service of Dinosaur House easier to sell. That's at least the way it is now. In the future, it'll be probably more focused on like my personal brand and me having this library of like 30 awesome books priced at different price points. Like, some of them are going to be like, I make no money on them. It just gets people into the ecosystem.
I love it. Like the top of a funnel. So what is your full funnel then? You're like, here's me relating to you. And then you're going to teach people how to create their own kids books.
That's a great question. I haven't fleshed out the funnel. So my primary way of getting customers isn't from a funnel. It's from a pure ABM play of I interview the kinds of people that would make great customers. So if somebody's a guest on Purpose Driven Entrepreneur, they are the type of person that would also be a great customer of Dinosaur House. I'm not the podcast interview isn't a sales pitch. It's just that the people that become customers are the ones that are like, wait, you do what? How much does that cost? And then boom, we have a sales conversation.
Oh yeah, we know all about that funnel, Timmy. Yeah, we do. that funnel sounds very similar over here.
Yeah, right. And I can't take credit for it. The guy that coined the term for it is my friend James Carberry. He wrote a book behind me called Content-Based Networking. I think a lot of people get bad vibes from this approach because it can be done in a really scummy way. I think you legitimately try to create awesome content that celebrates the person that you're making content with. And if that person is in the market for what you sell, then have a sales conversation with them. Right. If not, your focus should be what it is originally, which is creating great content. And also relationship building.
Absolutely.
Like, relationship building completely outside of whether or not you turn the person into a customer.
Well, that's right. What I said before when you were talking about the mom that had to go or she went viral, her video went viral or whatever. Like, I think a lot of times in entrepreneurism, we forget that we're all humans too. Like, we're entrepreneurial machines, and you know, we work 1,000,000 hours and we bust our butt to get our babies off the ground. But that being said, like, we're still humans, and we still like have an innate instinct to help each other and to be part of something bigger with each other. And that's kind of like our goal with Insporise, is that, you know, we want, like, our business could help somebody else's business, their business could help somebody else. And so, you know, where she obviously with whatever she does, you know, helped you with your business, and you help other people with their businesses. And it's like one big circle of, you know, everybody kind of networking and helping each other out. And I think that is super powerful to, you know, just our company called Insporise, right? Like, we have inspiration and we help other people rise. So our motto is like, we rise by lifting others. If we can help everybody else rise at the same time, everybody wins.
Yeah. I think another thing that'll just get exposed when people use this this tool, content-based networking, is you're either selling something that people really want, or you're not, or you're trying to sell something that people don't want. And if you're selling something that people desperately want, it's just like you're gonna have sales conversations.
Yeah, it just becomes very natural. I mean, I talk a lot about how most people, when they start a business or come up with a product or whatever, it's usually based on something they needed in their life or they needed at the time. And so, you know, if they're attached to it and they needed it, then most likely somebody else needs it too. And so it's just very natural like that, where somebody else that you're talking to could absolutely need the thing that you were in need of at some point.
Yeah. And in the media space, a lot of people talk about social media is social proof now. That's really all it is. If you have the tools on your social media that show that people want to read your books and they're using your books, and you have a lot of, like, on Facebook pages, a lot of good reviews, you don't need those big endorsements or media space like on commercials and things like that, because Facebook can house and show that social proof, which is I mean, really what people need now and want more than a commercial. So I think it's really interesting that some people, and now in the space of social media, can use their own tools and network. And so while your friend has a similar strategy, I call it OPP, other people's platforms. When you connect with the right networks of people, especially with someone who's like, you know, a mom influencer or the right investor or the right this or that, I think that a lot of doors can open up even faster and for way less money than going through a publishing company or tons of Facebook ads. And it's so exciting to me to be in this space and see that that's the reality, is that you don't need tons and tons of capital or to be backed by a huge company to really make an impact right now, which is, I think, amazing.
Yeah. So the strategy OPP, other people's platforms, what is that? It's like getting on other people's platforms?
So when you both have similar parallel industries or parallel customers, then like if I'm a social media person and someone comes to you and says, well, I would really like to have a book, connecting the two people, it's beneficial to you, it's beneficial to me. It's the same as being shared or retweeted or whatever it's called on TikTok, where someone like reposts. That's what I'm looking for, when someone reposts you. I think it's kind of the similar idea. That way you get exposure, I get exposure, everyone gets exposure, and it's helpful. It comes from a place of like networking, really. And a lot of the time, if we make a video, someone will pick it up and want to put it on their newsletter and their email list. And then we share their email, like your email, with our network and our email list. And it helps cross-reference for people that's aligned, and it's not pushy. You know, no one's saying buy anything. There's nothing to buy, especially for someone like you in your space. When I like went through your social media, my audience, like I could really see someone saying, so like, for example, my sister-in-law is an author. She's published a few books. I know she's trying to get in a space. She's currently working full-time on Upwork. She's making 3 times the amount of money writing online that she was as a full-time interior designer. And she's just like living this amazing space. Right. So when I see you, I'm like, I feel like you could inspire people to start publishing a book, especially when you come on a platform and say like, I wasn't a writer. I have no sales experience. You know, I figured I wanted to do something in like the cartoon creating space. As long as you have an interest and a passion and the will to work for it, no matter what your background is, like people can figure that out. So one, I would hope that anyone listening in my audience, whether it's in writing or artistry or whatever, can take that with whatever they're passionate about and be like, all I need to do is knock on a door over and over and over again and be willing, you know, to keep trying and tweaking and learning. And something can come of it from me. And then there's also like the kids book space itself, right? So when I like personally resonated with your story, is I was like, I would love to be able to have something that I can either make with my daughter. Like the idea of me making a book for my daughter literally blew my mind. I was like, whatever he knows, I want to know because I want to do it. So it's funny that you said.
I'm working on a productized version of that. Essentially, it's going to be, I have one customer for it so far, but essentially it's a kit that they get, and they do the kit with their son or daughter. And then they send it back to us, almost like a 23andMe kind of thing. Like they send it back to Dinosaur House, and it's probably just going to be, you know, hit record on the voice memos app and do the kit with your kid, and then send the recording to Dinosaur House. And we take that and turn that into the kids book, that it's your daughter's kids book, but it's your theme. So essentially there's a lot of like questions in there, like what's the main character and what kind of thing is the main character? Are they a human? Are they a dragon? Are they an alligator? And then it's like, and then it's asking the parent, what's the theme of the book? So is the theme, you know, sharing? Is the theme something entrepreneurial? It doesn't matter. The way I in this version 1 of this product, the way I'm going to try to get it out of the parent is like, what is something that you find yourself telling your kid over and over and over again that you hope they'll just latch onto it because it's going to change the trajectory of their life? And whatever the answer to that question is, that's what the theme of this book should be. And then all the rest of the questions are directed at the kid. And it's like, okay, given that theme, like what's the villain trying to do in this story? And it's trying to get you and your kid to tell this story.
Have a dialect. Yeah.
And then Dinosaur House just produces that into a book using all the stuff that you gave us, and then that goes up on Amazon with your kid as the author.
I love it. Yeah. Let me know.
I
on the
don't
price.
know if
Let
it'll
me know about
catch
the
on.
beta
I have one
testing.
customer.
Beta testing. Let me know the price. I'm in. I will give you all the reviews. Tell me what I need to do. I'm in.
Okay.
Sign me up. I bought something really similar for my kids. So my daughter's 5 and then my son is 3. And during Christmas, somebody sold me like a Facebook ad that was a book, and it's like, tell me what your kids look like. And we already have these curated like bedtime stories for them. And my kids went on a pirate ship together, and it uses their name in the story. And so, you're like JJ's,
but it doesn't use your theme.
It doesn't use your theme. So
no, that's what's missing. Yep.
Yes. If you took it a step further, I would absolutely be in. We're both equally excited about that. Yes. Yep, yeah. I love it.
I'm so passionate about connecting parents with their kids about either what mom and dad do for a living or something that one of them is passionate about. And it's like I can sell it going from parent to kid. I haven't figured out how to sell it going from kid to parent. But the only reason I'm trying to sell it is because I got to pay the bills and pay for the work and all that kind of stuff. Eventually, at some point, I'd love to have a really robust kids book production company that's turning out kids books with the kind of margin where I can just fund. I already am funding projects that I just am passionate about, but I'd love to do more of that. Things like, taking famous YouTubers and being like, who is Mr. Beast? It's like anything that mom or dad is rolling their eyes about when their kid talks about it. That's a missed opportunity for the two of them to connect over something. And so, and all a kids book is a vehicle for connection.
Yeah.
Love it.
So I have a thought. My marketing brain went to homeschool moms, which maybe Melissa can tie on, but there are communities. Like, I don't think there's anything more tight niche right now than these homeschool mom pods, not just like one mom who's got her 2 kids at home, but the pods of people. So when COVID first hit, my daughter was in preschool full time. Well, I pulled her out. And I became so involved that I had a gymnastics person that came to my house with other kids in my neighborhood who also couldn't go to the same daycare. We had people come in and do cooking lessons, painting lessons. I had Santa come to my house, and all the parents split the cost of this thing. So just know that there's a lot of moms that will funnel out. I mean, I'm not going to say any amount of money, but a lot of money in order to create that experience that you're talking about. Because they want the next thing, like a lot of moms that are doing homeschool right now, they are looking for something more than like the very flatline education that the kids are getting in public school. And that's not to be negative. My kids are in public school right now too. My daughter absolutely loves school, and we do extracurricular activities and things like that. But there are some very serious moms, and I was in this space for a little while, that would invest in any kind of thing like that. And I'm sure multiple parents coming together could help split the cost of what it would be to produce, a mass amount of books or big, like big orders and things like that probably have to happen. So maybe that's something that would be helpful to you, is looking into some of those pods.
Yeah, I need to figure out how to tap into those kind of communities. I mean, part of it is just having influencers in those spaces endorsing what I'm doing. Like, that's a huge part of it. But beyond that, there's so little, because everything that I've done in business has either been based on in-person events and like trying to gamify those events to get the maximum amount of sales and maximum amount of parents knowing that it's even happening, or ABM, just account-based marketing, going directly to the people that would buy from me and talking to them. Right. So I don't have a lot of experience building up like communities of people that are engaged in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I think it's a good time as well, because a lot of the mothers, and I know we don't have to stick with that niche, but a lot of the mothers right now that are home because of COVID, they're now thinking like, what can I do to get into an entrepreneurial space? And so all the moms that did have like a full-time job or kind of never really thought about entrepreneurism before now, and I know this because I had a huge influx of women that wanted websites. they were coming up with all kinds of different ideas to start businesses online. And their kids are all home now too, or, kind of doing hybrid school or whatever. And so they're now new entrepreneurs looking to engage their children, and what better way to engage than through entrepreneurism for their kids as well.
Yeah. There's a huge surge in entrepreneurship, and unfortunately along with it, entrepreneurship. But I think a lot of it is just people just don't know things like product market fit and how to find product market fit and how to sell something that people really want, or come up with something that solves a real problem.
I think it's interesting that previously you said that the kids that you're selling, like to the parents that go to the kids, but selling to the kids to the parents. I feel like maybe not in the first, but I don't know, actually, even like, what do you love to do? What's your passion and how can you make money doing it? I wonder how many parents are going to accidentally read that and think why don't I apply this to myself? Because it is very popular to apply Dr. Seuss in like adult lives, and Winnie the Pooh quotes are coming back and are very popular right now. Like some of those really basic fundamental life lessons are coming back up. So that's interesting. I wonder if that will accidentally happen too.
We produced a book for so the company is Jake and Gino, and Gino Barbaro is one of the owners of the company. His wife Julia is who partnered with me to make this book together. So we produced a book called The Cannolis Exploded, Now What? And it stars 3 characters, Responsible Rhino, Creative Caterpillar, and Pity Party Pig. And the story is they all work together in a bakery. So they all just are working, wage jobs in a bakery making cannolis. And at one point at the beginning of the story, Pity Party Pig accidentally explodes the baking shop because he forgets to take cannolis out of the oven, and the whole place burns down. So that's their event. They all go through the same event. They all lose their jobs at the exact same time. But then we just see like, what are the different choices that each of them makes? So like Pity Party Pig, eventually, like the first thing he does is he goes out and buys a TV to he's like, I need something to entertain myself since I've got all this time. Responsible Rhino, he immediately starts hitting up new places to go work. Like he's going and interviewing at places. And Creative Caterpillar is like, you know what? This is my opportunity. I'm going to try to create something. And he starts developing his first product. And we see in the story that, Creative Caterpillar, he tries 3 different ventures. 2 of them fail. 1 of them has some success. Responsible Rhino, he had savings that he had saved up. He goes out looking for jobs, can't find one, figures out how to make money in real estate. And then that Responsible Rhino and Creative Caterpillar end up teaming up to create a company off of Creative Caterpillar's product that ends up working. And they end up hiring Pity Party Pig. So essentially, Pity Party Pig's station in life doesn't change at all. But Responsible Rhino, we see like, what would a responsible rhino do when he loses his job? What would a Creative Caterpillar do when he loses his job? What would a Pity Party Pig do when he loses his job? And I showed this to some friends of mine, and they were like, I can think of so many people that I would want to send this book to, and not for their kids.
Right.
I mean, my brain literally went like, if I could only subscribe to a channel of YouTube that was only those stories, that's all my kid would be allowed to watch on her iPad. Like if I could control the narrative and there was more options, I absolutely would be into that. So let me know.
Oh, that makes me feel so good to hear. Yeah. I want to just create like a YouTube channel that's just Dinosaur House's YouTube channel. And we just do video versions of all these kids' books that we're creating, because they are the kinds of books that parents like you are like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is what I want my kid reading.
Right. There's only so many.
And that's that wasn't meant to be a shameless plug. I'm really excited to hear that.
We love plugs here.
We love plugs. And here's the thing is you can't feel guilty about something that you're creating, or you shouldn't feel guilty when it's something that there is a need for, like if you're just trying to like push wraps or whatever, right, on somebody, then like leave them alone. But if you like literally have something that I was like, I would 10 out of 10 want that, for my kids to watch, or for that to be the narrative of the stories that they're being around. There's absolutely no need. I think money just becomes monetary at that point as far as like what we're happy to spend it on. And that would definitely be something that somebody would be happy to spend their time and money and books and education and time frame on. So to back up, you had mentioned that you're kind of structuring that a little bit different. It seems like we're getting like the big picture, the story, but what did the process look like for you as far as like go back to the place where you're like, I'm brand new. I've never hired someone before because I don't feel like most people who are new have. I'm looking to create this team. Like, what did some of those challenges look like in the beginning, or where did you go in order to find like an artist or
it's a great question.
A publisher, like those types of things? What did that look like, the team building part of it?
That's a great question. I'll say this, and this is a little bit of a different direction, but this could be helpful for somebody. The first thing that I did was, so when COVID hit, I had to stop touring. I had actually, I hired somebody when I was touring. So the very first person I ever hired was when I was a touring kids book author. And I was like, I suck at email. I suck at keeping track of like a spreadsheet with all the different locations and all of this kind of stuff. So I just created some basic, if this, then this kind of things. Like if you get an email from a teacher that looks like this, send a reply that looks like this. Just created a bunch of that kind of stuff and hired my first VA. And I had to hire through several VAs to get to a VA that did a really good job. But that's why it was really important to just create like these almost like algorithms, but like really analog algorithms where I'm just like writing down like, if you get something like this, send something like this, if this, just thoughtfully building towards how do I get a yes to me visiting the school and then get them to cooperate with me about when I need to come to the school instead of them just trying to get me to come to their book fair, which every school has their book fair at the exact same time. So that's not helpful when you're trying to build a tour. So there were the little challenges that needed to get figured out, plus the challenge of just the bandwidth of if I want to try to keep my driving under 6 hours a day, then the touring has to be set in such a way that I'm never driving more than 6 hours in a day. Because I would go wherever I could go,
Could go. Yeah.
So I created just thoughtfully, this process. And then I was like, I am not the person to execute this, because if I execute this, it's all I'm ever going to be thinking about. And I won't actually get the things done that I care about. So I had to hire VAs and try to train them and realize, oh, this person's not good. Okay, well, let me find somebody else. So that was the first thing, is just figuring out something that it's an old Gary V thing. Just punt your weaknesses. This was a weakness of mine. How can I punt it? Well, I got to document how I would do it, best. This is actually not the best way to outsource a task, but it's good when early on. I would document how it needs to get done and then hire somebody to do it. And I think for a lot of people, just getting over that initial hump of like, okay, this is going to be, $200 a week of my own money that I'm paying this VA. $200 a week's a little aggressive on the beginning. It was less than that, but regardless of what the number is, it's painful at first. You're like, oh dang, I could just do this. You have to fight the urge of going, I could just do this myself. No, you suck at it. You need to outsource.
No, you need to sleep sometimes.
No, what is your time worth? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great advice.
So that was the first. I think the average person, if you're just a little bit entrepreneur, even if you just want to be like entrepreneurial within your own job. I mean, this is Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek stuff, but like
that's so funny.
literally like pull out.
I was going to say that to you. Yep.
Pull out things that you can train somebody else to do, and take some of that money that you're earning and pay somebody to do those things.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's real early advice. So beyond that, it's like, that was the first thing, was just getting over that initial hump of like, no, from now on, I have a VA and I'm just constantly training the VA to do things that I either don't want to do or I suck at them, and I've had the same VA now for going on 3 years, because she's so good. She has gotten the hang of working with me and talking. She'll answer email. She's answered so many emails as me that now she's like, hey, so and so said this to you and this is what you said back. And I'm like, awesome.
Thanks. Sounds good.
That's what I would have said. Only, yep, that's better.
Except I didn't have to write it down, so it's even better. It's awesome.
Okay, that's the first thing. But so what that does is it just trains the average person to start accepting that somebody else is going to do this work and they're going to represent you, and there's going to be plenty of hit or miss that goes along with that. And so it develops like a muscle of being willing to accept somebody doing. Sometimes they're going to do the job way better than you, and sometimes they're just going to do the job and you could have done it better, but they did the job and that's worth so much. You know?
Yeah.
So that's I feel like I've hammered on that so much, but honestly, that getting that muscle worked out is so crucial to eventually building a team of people, because building a team of people is just that at scale. It's just trusting people at scale and going and shifting from I'm going to build it out and show you how to do it to how would you solve that problem, and letting them try to come up with what they think is the best solution to that problem, and then letting them test out that solution that they came up with, have that go right in some ways and wrong in other ways, and then have them iterate on it. And I'm not yet to the point where I'm hiring people that are just straight up like telling me how stuff needs to get done. I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm a little bit there. My wife is really good at telling me how processes should get followed.
I thought you were gonna be like, my wife's really good at telling me what to do.
All wives good at that, to like tell you how things should happen. I feel like that's just a wife thing.
Yeah, but
awesome.
I haven't yet. I don't have the funds yet. I'm not there yet where I'm able to hire people that are like almost doing things to the point where I don't even know what's happening. I just know that it's working. But that's another level of success that most people that grow businesses that scale, you know, they have to do that. So I know that's, if I'm going to scale my companies, that's in the future.
Yeah, that's coming next.
Yeah, for sure. But now I am at a point now where it's like, with minimal input, I'm able to input a very small amount of information and get back results that I'm like, yes, oh my gosh, this is better than what I was even thinking. So like I've hired artists that are faster than me and can think about a piece of artwork in like I'll look at the work that they send me back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how long or how many tries it would have taken me to get to this point. What you came up with. So I give a little bit of input and I get back something that I'm a very slow artist. So I'm the author and illustrator of my first book, but most of the books that I do now, I'm just giving sketches to other artists.
And I think that it sounds like you found a new passion within that. Like maybe you started off wanting to do the cartoons, but like I'm hearing like an entrepreneurial bug that's like, I'm going to build this team and we're going to move over here. And the next step is YouTube and illustrations and the umbrella that's going to build out the Dinosaur House, versus like maybe where you thought it was just going to be creating these cartoons, which is exciting, right? And to celebrate the growth pains, I think is just as important as the wins, right? So while it is scary to pay a VA and, you know, maybe they don't work out and then you find a new one, like that should be celebrated in my mind as an entrepreneur, because most people will hire one social media manager and then never hire another one again. I'll reach out to a company and they'll be like, I already paid someone, it didn't work. Okay, well, they didn't work. That doesn't mean it doesn't work. Social media works, right? So having the courage and the strength of those growing pains to keep going, I think is something to be completely celebrated, even more so than like some of the small wins of like, I've had the same BA for 3 years. I actually don't know if I could tell you anyone who's had the same BA for 3 years. I think that's amazing. So it shows that like the communication is good. You're creating systems that they want to do. So like you said, that's the skills that you take and then you replicate them over and over again with your artists and your publishers and these outreach people. And it sounds like all the things you're thinking of on YouTube and stuff are definitely going to probably unfold faster than you could ever imagine.
I hope so. Yeah. Cause it's a bit. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I really geek out on process building, or maybe process building is probably not the right way to say it, but like thinking through strategically how can I create an assembly line that's very essentialist and still puts out an awesome, like puts out a result that the ideal consumer would love to consume. So like like the problem of like,
she loves that.
Yeah. And I guess one of the challenges of that, I'm curious about this because this is like a future Timmy problem, but one of the challenges of that, I think entrepreneurs that geek out on that kind of stuff struggle with letting go and giving the reins of that over to somebody else. And when you get to a certain point as an entrepreneur, I think it's way more about how good are you at attracting people than it is about any skill set that you might have.
My father talks about this a lot. So my father is an entrepreneur and he's been a life coach, a business coach. He's actually on Insporise, and he has this analogy that he uses a lot with me because I love that process as well, and I'm definitely a control freak when it comes to that. Like I like to have my hands in all the pots and know everything that's going on. And so he always tells me there's different roles in a business. And if you look at it traditionally, so he uses a donut shop, and he's like, there's the owner and the visionary of the donut shop. So he said, I want to have a donut shop. He's not actually the donut maker. He's not the one necessarily behind the counter making the donuts. Maybe when you start off, when you first buy the donut shop, you have to, as an entrepreneur, you have to wear all the hats, you have to do all the things. But as you grow and scale, you have the actual employee who makes the donuts, and then you have the manager who oversees the employees, and then you have, management of the whole entire shop itself. And then you have the visionary, who's the one that came up with the idea. And I think us as entrepreneurs, we have to, once we get to that point where we start scaling, we kind of have to separate ourselves from like, I don't have to be the donut maker anymore. I can be the visionary, and that's okay. And trusting yourself and others, like you said, to know that they're going to eventually come to you with ideas that maybe you wouldn't even have thought of. And that's what your role is now, to be the person that says, that's a great idea, and that's a great idea, and that's a great idea, and let's put all these ideas together and make something amazing out of it, versus you having your hands in all the pots.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. And I think because you are the founder, owner, deciding which spot you want to be in. If you want to stay in the like book writing space or like the storytelling space, then hire someone who's a visionary. There's so many content creators and people that like thrive in that space, and that's their passion. So I think opening up that door.
I never thought about hiring a visionary. That's interesting. I don't think that I would like that. My wife's looking at me like, no, you would not like that. But I've never heard anyone say it.
But there are some people that do that. There's some people who literally give over their CEO spot of their company. I actually just read an article of one of the
bread chick, right?
The bread, but yeah, there's a company. It's she made paleo bread, and she grew it to like, she was in like 30 stores or something, and it was a multi-million-dollar business, and she really liked the process. She liked being the donut maker, and so she actually gave over her CEO spot so that she can continue doing the part of it that she loved.
And you still get to be the founder. It's not like you give over control. Your just day-to-day actions get to be in the place that you love, because much like a story in entrepreneurship, you get to write your spot, your story, your space, right? So whatever that story looks like for you.
Optimize for what you love.
Yeah.
So if she loves making donuts, then that's what she's optimized a way to build an asset that's going to give her lifetime value, while still getting to do this thing that she's artistically passionate about.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, cool. So feel like we're getting close to our 45 minutes that I squeezed out of you, which is super exciting. But okay, so tell anyone listening where they can find you, where you hang out, what's next, what to order, plug the name of your book again, all those kind of things. What's next? If there's any connections that we can make, like who are you looking for? Who's listening? I think just saying it out loud and putting it out there, like you'd be surprised. You might be like, oh yeah, I know somebody who does that, or I don't know. That might be like a next level question that maybe you have to think about. But if you can think of something, totally all the things.
Yeah, great. I love it. Well, the book that you found me through is called Lucas the Dinosaur Entrepreneur. It's going to be a series of entrepreneurship. The story is about a dinosaur who's discovers that he wants to be an entrepreneur, and the first book is literally creating a service that he can sell that is something that is related to what he already does all the time. He likes to play outside, so he figured out how to monetize that. So the first book is just called "What Does Monetize Mean." You can pick that up on Amazon for like $7. If you want to get a free version of it, you can go to dinosaurhouse.com/gift. That's plural gift, like giving a gift, not like the gift. So plural of gifts, dinosaurhouse.com/gifts, and you can get a free e-version of Lucas the Dinosaur Entrepreneur. If you are a industry leader and it's the idea of making a kids book is like, oh my gosh, that I absolutely want to do that. On Dinosaur House, there's a button called schedule a story design call. So this is the most pluggy thing that I have to say right now, which is like, if you think that you could be a customer and like have your idea of a kids book that people in your industry would love to read to their kids, and you'd like to make that into a kids book, just go to dinosaurhouse.com and click on schedule a story design call. And it's just you and me talking for about 40 minutes and strategizing the theme of your book, who it's for, and what this thing could be.
Love it.
Beyond that, most active on TikTok and Instagram. I'm author Timmy on both of those channels. I think it could be my full name, Timmy Bauer, but I think I go by author Timmy on both of those channels. Dinosaur House as a YouTube channel is coming. So we're going to make video versions of our kids' books, which I know parents are going to love.
I can't.
Yeah, that's everything I can think of.
Yeah, it's perfect. All the things. Yeah, I think your ideal client, where people can find you, where they can get your book. I ordered your book, so when it comes in, I will definitely post a picture of it, include it in here. I think that's awesome. And then so I know through the interview you've dropped a couple of names, but who do you think is your big inspiration or a couple of inspirational people? Is it kids' books? Is it mentors? Like, who do you listen to? I know that's a lot of questions kind of all in one, but
yeah,
inspiration.
Okay. Well, I know I've said James a few times. He is literally my best friend, but he's also, I essentially copy and pasted his thinking on how to build a business and applied it to my own business. So he runs a company called Sweetfish Media. If you're not connected with him on LinkedIn, you should connect with James Carberry on LinkedIn. He's the kind of guy that just thrives on helping entrepreneurs build businesses. Yeah, that's James. Man, there's so many people that I would love to one day meet. Like Gary V, for example, is straight up. There's a character in Lucas the Dinosaur Entrepreneur named Gary Velociraptor.
That's awesome. That's so
wow. Okay. Yeah.
So Gary, if you're listening.
So Gary, if you're listening, I'm gonna go tag him on TikTok 25 times and see if he responds.
Chase him down while he's garage sailing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love meeting entrepreneurs, like people that have built businesses. To me, like the idea of like doing books with celebrities is very interesting. And one day I'd like to produce Gary V's kids book. Like he already did a kids series. I don't know why he didn't do a kids book, but he should. I'd like to produce Michael Hyatt's kids book. I'd like to produce Tim Ferriss's kids book. If these people, ever thought that producing a kids book was a good idea. But for me, I just really love, I love meeting fans. So I love it when someone is a parent who's an entrepreneur who loves Lucas the Dinosaur for their kids. And then I just also love meeting people that have built businesses. So I don't know. I guess I'm less star-studded about like, oh my gosh, I have to meet this person.
All of them. All the entrepreneurs. All of them. Yeah, that's exactly what we put together. We were like, we want all of the successful entrepreneurs that can help other people and teach other people, and all of us, help each other. And that was what we needed in the world.
I love meeting people that have gone beyond coaching and consulting. No offense to coaches and consultants. There's a lot of really valuable and successful coaches and consultants. But there's also a lot of people that are coaches and consultants that I it's almost like in name only. I love meeting people that have gone beyond that and have figured out how to productize, how to get really good product market fit. And we talked about this before we hit record. If you've got customers that have really successfully used your product and it's really helped them, those are people that I really love to meet.
Yeah.
People that just are thinking about making something that's genuinely adding value.
And I think that we have something similar. I feel like I've plugged Insporise on this podcast more than I have on any other one. But to that point is I love coaches. I love network marketers. Like, I'm super happy for anyone who's thriving in that space, right? Like, I'm so happy for you. But if I want to build a marketing company, I want to learn from someone who's built a marketing company. I don't want to coach. I have the mindset. I have the drive. I will work all night long. I will do anything you tell me to. But so in my mind, a coach is going to tell me like, you're confident enough and do this and that. And like, that's great, but I want the strategies. I want the systems and processes. I want the team building, like the support of the actual questions of things, the terms and conditions. Coaches cannot come up with the terms and conditions for my business, because unless you are in the business and someone has come back to you with an issue or a problem, like, I just think that there's such a better answer to learning from someone who's a little bit farther down the road than you, than, like a strategist. And so I think just networking and meeting as many business owners as we possibly can at all different stages. It's important for everybody, like a beginner, like I said, someone who's a brand new author who's reading this, who might just be too scared to ever reach out to a publishing company, might listen to this and be like, you know what? I'm just
start knocking on elementary school
I'm going to start
doors.
knocking on some doors. I'm just going to write some words and cartoons and come up with my like proper strategies and do it myself.
Put 2 phones in your pocket, and when you get a school that says yes and will let you read to the kids, give one phone to each kid, have one of them taking pictures and one of them taking videos. Post those on Instagram and tag every faculty member at that school that you met. And when they comment on it, ask them to tag somebody who works at a school that's not the same school that they work at. And that's how you can build some virality and start touring with your kids' book.
Exactly. And you're not going to get that advice from someone who has strategy. You're literally going to get the advice of, you're going to take 2 phones and you're going to give one to one kid and one to another kid. No one's going to strategically tell you that. Someone's had to be in that seat to know that that's a thing. And that's what we want. That's the advice that we want. So I think it's awesome. I think people are going to be super inspired and motivated, and I cannot wait for them to reach out to you. I will link your website, your TikTok, your book, all the things on this video. We're going to get a few more interviews under our belt, and then we're hoping that we'll go to Spotify and iTunes and move on to those spaces. But right now we're just on YouTube. So we will keep watching for your YouTube and then send this over to you when it's all ready.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've loved talking to you both.
Aww.
Yay.
Yeah, this has been super fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
There's so much great knowledge and inspiration. Like, just keep doing what you're doing, because it's amazing in the world right now, what you're doing.
Yeah. I think
Thank
it's
you.
inspiring from the kids. I think it's going to be good for our youth. And it's funny because when you meet somebody, this will be my closing thought. When you meet somebody, like, you already have a narrative of their story in your mind. And just talking to you, when you come up with a YouTube channel and you have your first cartoon, in my mind, I'm going to be like, of course you did that. Like, finally, where has it been? And in your mind, you'd be like, holy wow, I finally did this. But we're over here waiting for it. So just like keep pushing, keep moving. Like, that's already part of your story. It's already out there. So now you just need to like do the damn thing at this point.
I appreciate that. I'll get to it.
You do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, thank you so much for your time. We had so much fun.
Yeah.
Let's stay in touch. I think this is not going to be the last conversation we have.
I hope not.
Sweet. All right, Timmy. Well, thank you so much for your time. Melissa, let's chat soon. Thank you for jumping on. Hope you're feeling better over there. Bye, guys. We'll chat soon. Bye.
See ya.